Good afternoon and welcome to episode 16 of Inside Out, a monthly webcast where Thinka's co-founders and respective CEO and CEO, Ben and Lee, talk through all the weird and wonderful hard and human parts of business and leadership. Today, we're focusing on one big question. What does active decision making really look like for leaders, and how much of our decision making is just habit or guesswork?
So, today we're here to talk about decision making, and we're looking at decision making from the perspective of how leaders make decisions and then follow through or don't follow through on those decisions. So, we're looking at decision making as a conclusion or a resolution that we reach after consideration that leads to a particular course of action. So, when we're talking about decisions, we can have both complex decisions or simple decisions. Complex decisions are the ones we're talking to today, the ones that will often involve consultation, a move from strategic into operational or tactical, and things where we need to involve other people and look at different processes to achieve the outcome. Simple decisions rarely require a lot of collaboration, so we're kind of putting them on the shelf today and really focusing on some of those challenging and very thorny leadership decisions that we have to make, often in association with other leaders or with feedback from our teams.
When we think about decision making, leaders' own self-awareness plays a critical role. So they've got to be able to think about all of those things to understand, is where I'm going actually a good place? And all of those sorts of decision making, self-interest, moods and emotions, bias, lack of data, and lack of understanding of the big picture might sound like a lot. So I really break it down into three parts. Did I check my blind spots? Did I check my bias? Did I act in the interest of the big picture? With an underlier of, did I fact check the base? Because if we didn't actually do that, there could have been incorrect facts informing any part of those five factors.
The thing that I found really interesting when we were looking at the research and into these things is how we interrogate these things when it's someone else and how differently it is when we're looking at something like AI. Because when we looked at the research, the process of decision making and the problems that people have in it is the same thing that we see with AI when it's having problems, when it's hallucinating, when it's getting something wrong really, really early on and not interrogating that enough. And we will interrogate our AI. We will not believe it, but we'll struggle to do that for our own decisions or those of leaders. Like it's really hard to say to your leader, "Oh, I think you got the maths wrong right there at the start. I think everything that you've done since then is wrong and that is all going to fail." It's really, really hard to do. And we need to be able to do it to ourselves. I think that's one of those things is think about your decisions and these factors that you need to look, these threats, the same way you would look at a computer doing it or an underling doing it.
Sometimes there can be an arrogance around decision making that means we kind of want to put our faith in it and we become overconfident. But doubt plays a crucial role in decision making because doubt encourages critical thinking. You ask questions, you interrogate, you consult other people to get the right kinds of input. You're happy to step into a conversation where someone brings a dissenting view. So I think arrogance has no part in decision making. I think when it's decision making in the best interest of the organization, there does need to be as much objectivity as possible.
It's interesting now working at Thinker, it's a much smaller team. It's easier for decisions to be made, and they're often made before they're taken to a larger group. Before, when I've worked in other organizations, the group that was involved in making the decision was much larger, and that made it much harder for us to get to any kind of consensus. But it also meant the actions that were taken away from that somewhat malleable decision that was made, those actions were also quite malleable too. So there wasn't a really clear way for everyone to go, as well as when that message then filtered down that wasn't super clear in the beginning, as it went through the different stages, it filtered and filtered and filtered and became a very different kind of message. So those
Mm.
both clear actions and a clear statement of what the decision is really, really important, especially if you are someone who's not in leadership, who's getting those messages. If they're not clear and you don't know what to do with that decision, you're going to be stuck and you'll just either do nothing or push it in a different direction altogether.
Well, you can't action what you don't know. So the ability to make a decision is also the ability to create action and momentum as a result. And if what needs to happen as a result of the decision being made is unclear, then people actually do not know what they do not know. And I've never loved that term, but it's really relevant in this circumstance. There's one thing that comes up time and time again when we talk to organizations around decision fatigue or change fatigue. And this definitely came through in the research as well. But what's interesting here is it connects to what, Kev, you've just mentioned, which is this: do you need to have everyone in the room in order to have a consensus on a way forward? Or can you have key people in a room and decide on the top options and then take them out for buy-in? So we can still engage the organization in the way forward, so people feel like they're part of the decision-making cycle. But rather than looking at the entire menu, the menu is shortlisted to three options and they go, right, let's buy into the right option of those three. They still have the
Mm.
ability to have their say, but what the larger group can spend time on is how they actually implement, how they take action, what they need to do next. So that is actually really clear. So we move from involving everyone in the groupthink to involving everyone in the buy-in and action. How do we just take the short list,
Yeah.
take the right option and implement?
I love that idea of taking a decision to a group of people for it to be interrogated and for you to be okay with that,
Mm.
which is, it's hard. It's definitely something that would be, a set of skills to develop yourself, just your ability to be firm on something, but allow it to be needled. Like that's a
Mm.
hard position to put yourself in as a way to get to the best thing. But there's plenty of things that we have in society that we've just not considered how anyone else fits into it. The seatbelts in cars one is a good one where it's like they're built for men. They're not built for children. They're not built for women. They're built for men. That is it. We didn't think the decisions through any further than that. We made one. We stuck with it. That's what we've always done. We still haven't done anything different, and we're not going to. Like, that's a decision that requires more people in the room to interrogate it and figure out why. But we're stuck in a that's what we've always done forever.